hurricane yesterday, but probably by today, and it became a hurricane very quickly. And so not only is it a hurricane, it's already a major hurricane, and it's now a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall on the west coast of Florida sometime between Wednesday evening or perhaps even very early on Thursday. This has gone slower than the projections were in terms of the how it's moving towards Florida. And if that continues, it's going to push back when landfall will happen. Of course, you can see impacts prior to the eye wall making landfall. We have made a pre-landfall declaration request to FEMA for support, and Kevin has been working with the administrator, and we anticipate positive approval on that. We have 51 counties in Florida currently under a state of emergency. The executive order that I signed over the weekend also orders all disaster debris management sites and landfills to be open 24/7 in the lead up to Hurricane Milton. We had a lot of debris left from Hurricane Helene on Florida's Gulf Coast. That creates a huge hazard if you have a major hurricane hit in that area this week. So we've marshaled state assets to be able to help with that mission, and we're going to continue to do that until it's safe, until it's no longer safe to do so. So we do have a Category 4 hurricane. It is currently located 745 miles southwest of Tampa. It has not moved terribly quickly, but that obviously could change going forward. Storm surge watch has been issued for the Florida Gulf Coast from mainland Monroe County northward to the Suwannee River, the Dixie-Levy County line. 8 to 12 feet peak storm surge is potential for northern Pinellas all the way down to Charlotte, including in Tampa Bay. 5 to 10 feet peak storm surge is possible from Yankeetown southward to the Pasco-Pinellas County line and from Englewood southward to Bonita Beach, including Charlotte Harbor. Hurricane watches have been issued for portions of west central Florida and Florida's Nature Coast. Tropical storm watches extend further south and north through southwest Florida and the Keys and along portions of the Florida Panhandle. Division of Emergency Management is busy facilitating hundreds of resource requests from communities as we prepare for the impacts. We've already sent major truckloads of food and water to Central Florida in preparation for points of distribution sites after the storm. We're also coordinating the deployment of more than 2,000 feet of flood protection systems and prioritizing critical infrastructure like hospitals, wastewater treatment facilities, and electrical infrastructure. We've deployed a flood barrier around a water pumping station in Bradenton, a fire station in Hillsborough, and more en route to the courthouse in Charlotte County, hospital in Kissimmee, master pump station in St. Pete, and a community resource center in Hernando County. We've also deployed generators to support special needs sheltering operations. And of course, Starlink internet, all counties have access to that, and we're deploying more as needed. More than 200 ambulances and more than 30 paratransits are in Central Florida footprint, ready to support first responder operations. And as I previously noted, we've ramped up our support of debris removal. That's a 24/7 round-the-clock mission. The state of Florida is amassing significant amount of fuel reserves ahead of Milton, and we're staging it to be utilized as needed. These quantities include 415,000 gallons of diesel, 389,000 gallons of gasoline, and an additional 1.5 million gallons of both diesel and gasoline are currently en route. I know there's different things that are being said, but all fuel continues to arrive at Florida ports. There has not been an interruption of that. I know people are going to fill up their gas tanks, which is a good thing. There's more lines than maybe that we're used to on some of these, but there has not been an interruption in fuel deliveries, and all the ports are checked in on that. Local officials and their vendors must continue debris removal efforts for those areas that are in the potential path of this storm. My executive order requires debris landfill and dump sites to remain open 24/7 to accept debris from Hurricane Helene. We need as much of this debris picked up as possible. This creates a safety hazard, and it also will increase the damage that Milton could do with flying debris. All local entities should comply with this order and work around the clock to accomplish this mission. We have deployed major assets to help, but yet, last night in Pinellas County, there were 300 vehicles. Some of them were state vehicles, but also a lot of private pickup trucks and vehicles who were bringing debris. That's helpful. They should be doing that, and yet one of the gates was locked. There was no one manning it. And so we had this massive line of cars waiting to drop off debris, which is a good thing. And so Florida Highway Patrol basically took matters into their own hands, fastened some rope to a couple pickup trucks to the gate and busted the gate open. And then those trucks were able to go in and unload the debris. We don't have time for bureaucracy and red tape. We have to get the job done. And the effort that Jared Perdue and Kevin's team have made in helping get the debris off and supplementing the local efforts has been incredible. We have noticed since the weekend and the order, you have seen some more vendors out there. I know City of St. Petersburg has been working hard to get the debris out, and that's a great thing. And they're working, I think, well. But these debris sites need to be open, and we're going to ensure that to be able to do. So just in the last 24 hours, the state has done almost 500 truckloads of debris, totaling 9,000 cubic yards. So that's just from the barrier islands in Pinellas County, bringing to the debris landfills. We have over 200 state assets, dump trucks, other types of trucks and vehicles to be able to do. But keeping it 24/7 is important. We absolutely encourage private citizens to have the debris and bring it in. That's helping the mission. Can't get bogged down in bureaucracy on this. The debris mission is going to continue until it's no longer safe to do so. Clearly, we're going to be able to work all the way through today and probably all the way through tomorrow, given that the storm's likely not to make landfall till later on Wednesday, and that could even get pushed back even further. So we've made a big dent in this. I know folks on the ground locally in those barrier islands and places like Manatee and Pinellas have been working very hard, but let's get this as much of that debris removed as humanly possible, and let's work 24/7 to be able to do it. So we have right now, just in the debris mission, we have 800 National Guardsmen that are also deployed helping our state agencies. We currently have 5,000 guardsmen that are mobilized for the response to this storm, and we have more than 3,000 additional guardsmen who will be mobilized prior to landfall. The National Guard's also deploying heavy equipment to assist with debris removal, including Army and Air Force horizontal construction units, tactical high water vehicles, dump trucks, and front-end loaders. Linemen and power restoration resources are being marshaled in advance of the storm. This is a storm, the path of this storm that would hit the western part of the Florida Peninsula, then go all the way across the peninsula and exit in the Atlantic Ocean. That's going to impact a lot of different utilities. We've spoken to most of them, and they're working to get people here. If you look, we had Helene, and there were 2.4 million restorations, but 99.9% were back within a few days. There's still hundreds of thousands of people without power in some of these other states that got hit by Helene. So there are crews working there, but they're bringing people in from far and wide to be able to respond accordingly. This path of this storm, we don't know exactly how it's going to go. I know they say the eye is going to go here or here. That can move when you're talking about 30, 40, 50 miles north or south. Will make a huge difference in terms of who gets the worst surge, how much power is ended up taken out. And so we have no way of knowing how that's going to shake out. So the resources are being brought in, and the power restoration effort will begin as soon as it's safe to do so. Again, I made this point yesterday, but all of our assets that we had lent to assist in North Carolina are here in the state of Florida. We have a temporary base camp at Tropicana Field to support not just the debris operations, but any post-landfall first responding operations. So we have landfall. It's going to happen probably sometime later Wednesday, maybe early Thursday, and it could potentially speed up. And so maybe it'll be a little earlier than that. It could continue slowing. Maybe it'll be a little less, but there is going to be a landfall in the middle of this week. Monday morning, where we are today, you have time to execute your plan, but you got to do it now. There have been some evacuations that have been issued. There's going to be a flurry of them today. I know the counties are working on opening shelters. They typically will open the shelters after they have the evacuation go out, not before. So make sure that you're following the news coming out of your local county. But all these barrier islands, all these areas that would be susceptible to the storm surge that's up and down the west coast of Florida, you should assume that there's going to be some form of evacuations that are going to be issued by your local county officials. That is going to happen when you have the potential for storm surge of this magnitude. We also have a storm that's already very powerful. Now, the forecasts are that it's going to peak before it reaches landfall and then weaken. It's still going to be a strong storm. But, we don't know that that's necessarily going to happen. And so this is something that's going to be really, really significant one way or another. But you have time to be able to do this today. And again, you don't have to evacuate hundreds of miles. If you're in those barrier islands, if you're in areas that are susceptible to storm surge, you go to areas that are not susceptible to that. Every county has places within them where you can go to. Maybe it's a friend's house, maybe it's a hotel, maybe it's a shelter. We have the ability to withstand wind in Florida with most of our buildings, and nothing would be designated as a shelter if it couldn't withstand that. So that's an option, especially if you're not comfortable getting on the road and traveling a great distance. You don't have to do that. And you're going to see shelters open in all these counties. Kevin is working on supplementing that from the state if there's a need to have more, particularly in Central Florida. So we'll do that. But you have an opportunity today to do what you need to do to execute this plan. You have time today, but do it. But time is going to start running out very, very soon. We are effective at 10:30 a.m. We are suspending all tolls in western part of Central Florida into Central Florida, as well as Alligator Alley. People sometimes will say, where do you evacuate to? They just want to get out. They don't want to just stay local, and they want to get out. Well, I think that probably the easiest route would probably be to go north if you're in Central Florida, because the way the storm looks, it looks like it's going to have more of an impact on Central and Southern Florida. Most of these places in Tallahassee and Northern Florida likely aren't going to see as significant of impacts. But be that as it may, just understand that if they have a storm going into the greater Tampa Bay area now, it is possible that could shift further south. So if you do evacuate south, you may be ending up going to where you're going to have a lot of the storm anyways. We saw that with Hurricane Ian, so just be mindful of that. But again, you don't have to go hundreds of miles. That is not required. Any place that's going to be open as a shelter, Florida hotels that are built, within the last however many 20, 30 years are all going to be able to withstand hurricane force winds. Sandbag locations are open in multiple counties in South and Central Florida. Check your county's EM page to find out where those locations are. You can find your county's emergency management page by going to floridadisaster.org/counties, floridadisaster.org/counties, and you have that local EM page. Is safe and secure this morning and making their preparations for the impending landfall of Hurricane Milton. As you no doubt, let me emphasize how important it is for each and every one of us to make sure that we have our plans in place and we activate those plans. It is not time to be a hero. It is not time to try to stand against the storm surge that's coming.
get yourself prepared, get everything you can out of the way of the water, especially yourself, your families, and your pets. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is, because with this storm surge and with the wind that's coming, we will not be in a position to render aid once that happens. Now is the time to get ready for this storm. We've all done this before. We know what happens. We know what we need to do. Now is the time to get that done. So with the full support of council, I am issuing a mayoral proclamation calling for an emergency evacuation of Sanibel. City Manager Souza will provide you specific details along with his Chief of Police. We also have Chief Barbeau with us. They will all be speaking. At the end, after that, council members will step to the podium to say a few words. Thank you, remain calm, activate your plans, and we'll all get through this together. Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council Member. Appreciate you all being here this morning, along with the Police Chief and the Fire Chief from the Sanibel Fire and Rescue District. You're good. I'm good. Somebody just touched my back. So first I want to say that Sanibel's Police Chief, Bill Dalton, is not available to us for this event. He had to undergo some surgery yesterday, and as everyone in our community knows, that Chief Dalton has proudly served this city for 30 years, and I ask you to keep Chief Dalton in your thoughts and prayers while he recovers over the next few days. Until Chief Dalton is ready to return, I have promoted Deputy Chief Anthony Thompson to Acting Police Chief. Acting Chief Thompson has also served Sanibel for over 30 years and is a veteran of several hurricanes, and we are in his good hands managing public safety and serving as the incident commander for Hurricane Milton. I also want to just take a second to thank Lee County and all the municipalities that are in Lee County for the good coordination that has happened over the last week as this storm has developed and started its approach to Southwest Florida. Next, I want to provide an update on Hurricane Milton. As the mayor said, I think everybody is watching this storm, but just to give you the facts as I have them right now, the National Hurricane Center has stated that Hurricane Milton is now a major hurricane with winds of 120 miles per hour, which is a Category 3 hurricane, and is expected to increase to a Category 4 hurricane, which packs winds of 130 to 156 miles per hour. And it is likely that it will maintain or that intensity or near that intensity as it makes its landfall somewhere between Sanibel and Tampa is the projected path. This places Sanibel on the dangerous side of the storm, where current National Hurricane Center predictions show that Sanibel could experience storm surge ranging between 6 feet and 10 feet. And that's what I mean by the dangerous side of the storm. With the storm passing to our west, we are more subject to that storm surge that we experienced from Hurricane Ian, Tropical Storm Debbie, and Hurricane Helene. So our community knows what storm surge is, but this is expected to be a major impact. Yesterday, we received 1.74 inches of rain, which negates the drawdown of water that we're accomplishing through our weir system by opening our weir system during low tide cycles. So everyone should anticipate flooding throughout the island. With a combination of the rains that we've had, the storm surge that's expected, and the wind-driven waves, we can expect this island to be flooded. Additionally, as I mentioned, a major hurricane packs winds that can exceed 110 miles per hour. The storm is already over that, and stronger gusts will occur here on the island. Rainfall is expected to be in the range of 6 to 8 inches between today and Saturday, with most of that rain arriving with Hurricane Milton. Obviously, the predicted conditions that Hurricane Milton is likely to deliver to Sanibel poses a significant danger to the people of Sanibel. As such, Mayor Johnson has just announced that he will sign a revised mayoral proclamation with the full support of City Council that orders a mandatory evacuation of Sanibel by 10 p.m. on Tuesday, tomorrow. Mandatory evacuation is in place by 10 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday. I encourage you not to wait until 10 p.m. on Tuesday to evacuate the island. Tropical storm force winds are expected to arrive at Sanibel sometime Tuesday evening. Conditions on the causeway once tropical force winds arrive include waves that break over the seawalls. And I can tell you from exiting the island when Hurricane Helene was arriving that those tropical force winds did produce waves that splashed over the roadway, and just beyond the toll booth as you're heading off island, there was water over the road and flooding that occurred there. So we encourage you to leave the island before those tropical storm force winds arrive. Please prepare your home, gather your belongings and any valuables that you need, and evacuate the island as soon as possible. Additionally, the mayor's proclamation includes a 24-hour curfew that will be imposed at 10 p.m. Tuesday evening. This curfew will remain in place until further notice. Anyone on the island or attempting to get on the island after 10 p.m. on Tuesday, either by vehicle or boat, will be subject to arrest. Until 10 p.m. Tuesday, you may travel on and off island as you see fit in order to prepare your homes and get supplies, whatever you need to do, but please be off the island by 10 p.m. Tuesday. Residents and business owners should expect a checkpoint will be established on McGregor Boulevard forward to the toll booths after Hurricane Milton passes. Only those with current 2024 Sanibel hurricane passes or government issued IDs showing the resident, the person in the vehicle who matches that photo ID has an address on Sanibel or Captiva. Whether if you have a reentry pass, current reentry pass, or one of those government issued IDs, then you will be allowed access on the island once the conditions are safe. I want to reiterate that. Following the storm, city personnel, public safety officials have to get on the island and see what kind of damage has been inflicted. We expect there will be debris on the roadways, power lines that will be down, services that will be interrupted. Once we can make that determination it is safe to allow vehicles back on the island, that's when the police will open the checkpoint, and not until that point. That is to make sure that we can ensure public safety, we can ensure security of the island. Just a word on trash, as I mentioned yesterday. Do not put out any additional debris from Hurricane Helene. We do have waste management crews that are on the island today attempting to pick up everything that was generated by Hurricane Helene. And that service will end today. So they will do their very best to pick up the debris that's out there on the roadway, but you cannot contribute to that debris right now. It's unfortunate that before we were able to clean up after Hurricane Helene, that this storm, Hurricane Milton, has decided to follow into our doorstep. But we will do our very best to make sure that we picked up as much debris as we can. Your regular trash pickup for Tuesday and Wednesday has been canceled, so do not put out any trash by the roadside in a container until further notice. A call on Thursday's collection will be made later this week. The city's recycling will be open to residents only to drop off household trash only between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. today. That service will only be available today. Proof of residency will be required, so you'll need an ID, and contractors may not drop off any debris at this location. City offices will be open today until 5 p.m. We expect that we may release some employees early so they can tend to business at their home, and we will be closed Tuesday through Thursday of this week. And depending on the conditions of the island, we will make a determination if we will open at City Hall or if we will have city personnel staffing a remote location for City Hall off island. Those who need hurricane reentry passes can get them at the Recreation Center today on Sandcap Road between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and at the police department between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Tomorrow, on Tuesday, the police department will issue hurricane reentry passes from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. For island residents today, the Recreation Center is offering free childcare for grades kindergarten through 8th grade at the Recreation Center until 5 p.m. This service is being provided so our residents can prepare their home and their children can be in a safe location as schools are closed. Again, Santa Barbara residents and businesses are encouraged to prepare their properties for Hurricane Milton quickly and plan to evacuate the island by 10 p.m. tomorrow. Please monitor city and Lee County news releases for up-to-date information, and please follow the instructions of those updates as you can. And also watch the updates from National Hurricane Center and our local meteorologists. Island Water Association has also put out some information concerning their services. They will maintain staff on the island as late as possible, and then they will be going to a low pressure operation, and there will be water available in the tanks until it runs out. Their personnel, like other city personnel, will have to evacuate during the height of the storm so we can make sure our personnel is safe, and then they will return as soon as possible. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Acting Police Chief Anthony Thompson.
Thank you, City Manager. Good morning. I'll keep my comments brief. With the mandatory evacuation order in place, I'm here to implore you to evacuate. The decision to order a mandatory evacuation is not made lightly. Our responsibility is to ensure your safety. Please listen to our city officials and evacuate. If you decide not to, against these orders and directions, what I'm going to ask that you do is email the following email address: police@mysanibel.com. Tell us the names of the individuals that will be staying with you and your address. In the subject line, please write Hurricane Milton -staying. Remain vigilant, monitor the storm, and be prepared. Thank you. Chief.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Barbeau. I am the Fire Chief of the Sanibel Fire and Rescue District. Today, we want to emphasize that this is a real activation of our emergency services and evacuation order and the plan that the city of Sanibel has to do. We've been here before. This is not our first rodeo, and this storm is coming. And everybody that has come up here today and spoke on behalf of our citizens and given guidance should be listened to, and we should heed the message that are coming across. I want to emphasize the critical importance of following this evacuation order that has been issued. By now, you should have a plan in place. If you don't, please take action to create one. When evacuating, driving inland is the best option. You do not need to travel hundreds of miles. Moving just 10 to 20 miles is sufficient to keeping you safe and be in sheltered and secure building. Our highways will most likely be congested. Don't become part of the problem. Do not get stuck in traffic. Homes and personal belongings can be replaced. Your life cannot. Please be aware, Sanibel Fire and Rescue District will discontinue 911 response operations once we reach 45-mile-an-hour sustained winds. We are considering the evacuation of all staff and equipment to higher ground off island for the duration of Hurricane Milton. Currently, we are at a wait and see and looking to see what effects we could be seeing from the island. If you choose to stay on the island, you may be alone without first responder support for an unknown amount of time. Let me repeat that. You will be alone on the island. Let's not get to that point. We are urging our residents and business owners to continue to monitor Facebook page, EOC, and the city of Sanibel for all real-time updates. I want to give everyone an update on the sandbag situation. It's been a busy morning. We've distributed about 3,000 bags in less than an hour at Library Way. This is going to be 2401 Library Way. We do currently have 2 trucks heading over and picking up more sandbags for our residents. We are asking that we limit the distribution to 25 bags per vehicle. That's going to ensure that we can have fair distribution and that everybody gets their fair share and we are taking care of our neighbors and community. We have also ordered 4 additional dump trucks loads of sand. However, the estimated time of that arrival is unknown. That's why we urge you to stick on top of the Facebook updates. As soon as it is available, we will have that ready for you. Let's prepare our homes and properties. We've learned lessons learned from all of the other storms that we've had come to our barrier island. We are on a barrier island with very limited access as to where we can take our assets. Electrical vehicles and golf carts, they are an issue. It is a true problem, and it is a hazard for your homes, as we have had multiple fires due to saltwater submergence. Please get them off of the island and help reduce that significant hazard for your home. E-bikes, lawn equipment, power tools, anything that has a lithium battery attached to it should be brought to higher ground. If you are in a 2-level home, please raise it to your 2nd level of your home. If you do not have a 2nd level, please remove it from the island. We also are having an issue with trickle chargers. Many of our residents, this is their 2nd home. They keep a trickle charger on their regular gas-powered vehicles. Those are also starting fires, and they are a threat for our community. Please get those disconnected and raise those assets. Additionally, ensure that your homes and your boats are properly secured. Another problem, please do not forget to turn off your propane tanks at the tank. Shut off the valves at the tank, not at the home. Lines from the tank to your home are most susceptible to damage, creating a leak, creating a hazard for the entire community. Please shut those off at the tank. Our crews are currently responding to 911 calls, working hard to prepare for the storm. We're urging everyone to stay informed and continue to track the progress of Hurricane Milton. Please stay safe and make the necessary preparations for your safety. With that, I'd like Mayor Johnson to come back up and take over the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and I'm not Mayor Johnson. I wanted to reiterate, I finished my prepared remarks, but I wanted to reiterate what Chief Barbeau and Acting Chief Thompson said. It's time to leave the island. We've experienced this before with Hurricane Ian, and while we're giving you our very best projections for this storm that come from sites, the National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Center, and our partners at Lee County, this storm could change direction, and we know what that's like on Sanibel when it does. So please be prepared to evacuate the island. I've been in touch with LCEC representatives as well over the last several days. They have partner assets that are coming into the area to be prepared to respond as quickly as possible. You may want to consider shutting off your breakers as you leave the island. We know from Hurricane Ian, when there was a significant surge, what type of outages that caused for us and could cause damage to your panels. So consider that before you evacuate your home to shut off your electric panels. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
So I'd like an opportunity for council members to address the community at this point as well. We're going to start with Vice Mayor Miller, Councilwoman Smith, and then Councilman Henshaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I would add is that following Hurricane Ian a couple years ago, we had some community debriefing after action sessions at Big Arts, and I think John Henshaw, you led some of those sessions. And during one of those sessions, some of the people that stayed on the island and did not evacuate shared their experiences. And some of those stories were really horrific. You do not want to be a storyteller next time. Please follow our advice and evacuate.
Thank you. This is not where we want to be today, but this is where we find ourselves. And I know that we are all standing here in one voice and making sure that we give you the opportunity, and we have for the past several days, to make sure that you and your family have that plan, follow that plan. I know all of us have been working in our own homes. I know all staff has been here, many of that staff 24/7 protecting this island, and they also need to get home as well to help prepare for themselves. I do want to say we don't know where this storm will land. We always need to assume that it is going to land here. We know it will make ground somewhere. Please do not look at all of these updates every 3 hours and assume those are the facts. We've lived through many storms where that wasn't the case, and it's come in our direction. Be prepared for that. Please, we've been telling you, Please get an off-island accommodation. Our main purpose here is to make sure our citizens are safe and out of harm's way. Heed that, please. We will be here after the storm. There will be continuous updates as warranted from the staff, whether it is from here or the remote location where the city may have to move. I wish you all the best. We know that we are storm weary all over the state. There is a lot of emotion and we get that, but we do need to make sure that we stand up, get ready, and keep ourselves safe for what potentially may come. So I will see you after the storm, during the storm, and we are here before the storm. Take good care. Thank you.
Yes, I have really nothing else to add much, except to say we are neighbors. We're all working and living in this great community. When you see a neighbor that needs help preparing, please do. We got a day and a half. Let's begin to help them. If you see a trash can out or a recycling bin, as I saw coming in here today, help them either put it away, tie it down, because that will be flotsam out in somewhere out in the water. So please watch out for your neighbors. And if you find a neighbor that may think they can weather this out, advise them to leave. We have to be safe. We want to be safe in our preparations. We want to evacuate so that we can come back on this island as soon as we can and continue to live in this beautiful community we call Sanibel. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. We have done this before, and I am so proud of the job that our community has done. You heard from our council members about sticking together and carrying the city as a whole, our community forward. Please continue to do that. Remember, a lot of folks are feeling a lot of stress today. Make sure that you keep your tempers in check and make sure you keep your words kind. It's a tough time for all of us. My family and I have our plan. We will be off the island. You heard from every single person that spoke today. You need to follow the evacuation order. I know the acting chief gave you an option of giving him a communication. Please don't utilize that option. Please get off the island. It will be here. It's all stuff, and we'll be back safe and sound together at a future date. There will be notifications coming out from this office, the city of Sanibel, on a regular basis. If you're not signed up for the mysanibel.com news alerts, please do that. It's a great information source. It is an official information source. If you're not signed up for Alert Lee, please do that as well. Lee County is in charge of our evacuation centers. They are actively putting those together as we're having this conference this morning. They will be issuing the notice of where those evacuation centers will be located. There will be none on the island of Sanibel. So make sure you understand that. You need to go in town. As one council member said, or one of the officials said, you don't have to go very far, but you need to go. I'm very proud of my community. I want to continue to be.
All right, everybody, we're going to close out of the Sanibel press conference here and just kind of let you know what's going on for the rest of today, or at least for the next few hours. We have the press conference at 12 o'clock from Lee County. So my guess is they're probably going to announce some other evacuations in different zones. So we're going to carry that live just to see what else the Lee County Board has to say. And just to kind of recap what the mayor said earlier this morning, he said that the town hall, the town trailers, are where you can go to get your passes, your reentry passes. There's a long line of people that are trying to get their reentry passes now, but you need to get the updated reentry passes. And they are going to be at the town hall trailers until 12 o'clock. And then after that, they're going to be at the Target. And if you don't know where the Target is, he said it's off San Carlos Boulevard, just north of Ace Hardware. So in that area is where there's going to be a tent set up to get your reentry passes after the storm, assuming that you're going to go and evacuate. So that's why you need to have the reentry passes. They're going to have town staff in a tent. You don't go into the Target and ask the target employees for the reentry pass. The town is going to have a tent set up where you can get your reentry pass. So bring your ID, proof that you live on the island, and you're going to pick up your reentry pass after 12 o'clock at the Target, just off San Carlos Boulevard. They do have sand. Now the pile has been moved to the old town property, which is next to the old Tops building property, where the town hall building used to be before they demolished it from Hurricane Ian. That's where the town sand pile is. So you're going to need to bring your own sandbags, because they don't have sandbags until about 11:30 when the town has to get the sandbags from the county, assuming the county has any left. Then the town will have, I think you get 20, if I remember right from yesterday. They give each resident 20. So bring your ID that you're a Fort Myers Beach resident. Unfortunately, some folks are coming from off the island to get the sand because they don't have sand where they live. But bring your ID, you'll get your bags, and also bring a shovel if you have a shovel. That's where the sand is until I think they said 3 o'clock. And then that's when the mandatory evacuation is supposed to go into effect. So we're trying to get the fire chief on. So he's got back-to-back meetings, so he's not available this morning. But if you tune in at 12 o'clock, we'll have an update from Lee County. And of course, everything we find out, we'll be posting to our Facebook page, and we'll be on Fox News Radio at 6:05, 7:05, and 8:05 tomorrow morning, giving the guest host, Michael Pelka, a update on what's going on from the storm surge to all the evacuations that we learned. So stay tuned, folks, and evacuate Fort Myers Beach before 3 o'clock today, if you can. Talk to you.